The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew. Jesus began to make it clear to his disciples that he was destined to go to Jerusalem and suffer grievously at the hands of the elders and chief priests and scribes, to be put to death and to be raised up on the third day. Then, taking him aside, Peter started to remonstrate with him. "Heaven preserve you, Lord," he said. "This must not happen to you." But he turned and said to Peter, "Get behind me, Satan. You are an obstacle in my path, because the way you think is not God's way, but man's." Then Jesus said to his disciples, "If anyone wants to be a follower of mine, let him renounce himself and take up his cross and follow me. For anyone who wants to save his life will lose it. But anyone who loses his life for my sake will find it. What then will a man gain if he wins the whole world and ruins his life? Or what has a man to offer in exchange for his life? For the Son of Man is going to come in the glory of his Father with his angels, and when he does, he will reward each one according to his behavior." The Gospel of the Lord. A few weeks ago in Chicago, the word Community of Christian Meditation organized the annual John Main seminar. This is a seminar on meditation that is held every year in different parts of the world, mainly in America. It is a seminar which is open to all denominations. It is a seminar that prophets of today, like Dalai Lama, Rowan Williams, the ex-Archbishop of Canterbury, Charles Taylor, a top American theologian, all these attend to reflect upon the different ways of today's religion. Look at meditation and at prayer. This time and this year, the responsibility lay with a Jesuit by name of Dan Madigan, who is an expert on Islam. And he explained that there is a difference between the three faiths, the three religions that are most popular today and most of the world follow. That is Islam, Jewish religion, and Christianity. He said while the Islam bases its faith on the Quran and follows and interprets the words found in the Quran, while the Jews look for the first 5 books of our Old Testament, that is, we call it the Torah, and follow the word, almost literal interpretation of the word written in the Torah. Christianity follows the flesh. Christianity follows the flesh. What does it mean, following the flesh? Following the flesh means following Mary, embracing and holding in her hand Jesus Christ as an infant, and then coming down from the cross. She embraced him too, as he was brought down from the cross. And this explanation combines exactly of what we find in the Gospel of John when we know the first word that we have, and the Word was made flesh. God was made flesh. So we are different from other religions in the sense that we have Mary and Jesus as human beings as we are, living the flesh of nature, biological way, as we all do. And so they have to go through the rules and the laws of nature as we all have to do. And so this goes well with the gospel we have just heard. If you remember well, last Sunday, most of you were here. Last Sunday we saw a dialogue between Jesus and Peter. And Jesus was full of praise to Peter because he recognized him as the Son of Man, as the Son of God. And he was, well done, Peter, because this is not coming from you as flesh, but it's coming from God. And he also chose him, you are the rock, and upon this rock I am going to find my church. Today, in contrast, we see maybe Peter, because of his character, he was full of himself. He thought that he was going to command Jesus what to do. And so this time he rebuked him. He said, of course not. When he told him that he had to go to Jerusalem to suffer grievously at the hands of the elders and chief priests, be put to death and be raised up to the third day, Peter did not want to accept this for a Messiah, for his Messiah. Then this will never happen to you. And what Jesus told him? A phrase it was never used for anybody else. Get away from me, Satan. You are Satan. You are the devil. You are tempting me not to accept God's plan for me. And what was the God's plan for Jesus? And what is the God's plan for all of us here, friends? Jesus took up the cross. This was the plan. And we also need to take up our cross and go and follow Jesus and follow our way of living. No one needs to be told that pain and suffering are part of everyday life. No one is excluded. This is a law of nature. This is part of us. Pain in the world is a mystery that we cannot understand now, but for sure we know that God chose that His Son will also suffer and come up and carry His cross. So we are on the same boat. And Peter has to understand through his own experience, then later on found out that he has to suffer, because he too suffered martyrdom. We are not maybe asked to suffer martyrdom, but yes, for many of us it's martyrdom. The daily suffering, the daily carrying of the cross, of little and big crosses that we need to suffer in our relationship, in our place of work, with our neighbors, people, even our own children sometimes, who are ungrateful. Somebody whom we have helped and now is repaying us with pain, with gossip, with malignant way of treating us. These we have to suffer. These we have to do and carry like Jesus did in his own life. These are the crosses that we are asked to suffer, that we are asked to cross, to take up on our shoulders, so that we too will be disciples like Peter was, like all the disciples were, and we want to be also disciples. We need so to remember this clear distinction in our faith that we have. We have the flesh. We are being asked to follow Mary. Mary carried the cross from his birth to his resurrection, all the way, and she carried the cross without understanding what was happening in her life, almost all her life. We too, we do not understand most of the suffering. Some suffering is caused by ourselves, by our way of living, by our way of eating or behaving. In our addiction, we bring a lot of suffering to ourselves. This is true. But there are other certain sufferings that come up in our life that we do not understand. We didn't know why. And that's why we often ask God, why is it me? Why is it hitting me? And why is this happening to me? And we think that we should be excluded because we are good people and we go to church every Sunday. And so why should God permit that we suffer like this? These are questions that we often put. But now we hear that Jesus told Peter, get away from me, Satan. No. We need to do our best to solve our problems, to cure our ills, to take care of our lifestyle, and see that we do not have pain, physical and moral pain in our lives. We need to do our best to come to terms in our relationships and our way of behavior with others and our lifestyle. But then, when there is a cross in our life that we do not understand, that we cannot conquer, that we have no cure for it, we need to accept, like Jesus accepted, the way and carry it to the full, as Christ did. Let's read together the reflection, the prayer. And I ask you after the prayer, starting from today, that after my reflection, we spend 1 minute exactly in reflection of what we have just heard. To try, because usually we jump into the creed. I don't like that. I think we are missing something. I think everyone is touched by the reflections that we make on the Word of God, and so we need at least to have 1 minute in silence, complete silence, so that everyone reflects how the Word of God that we have just heard strikes and wants to relate to our own personal life as individuals. Dear God, help me to walk by faith and not by sight. Let my life bear me to Valencia. Take me beyond my wildest dreams to your presence, your plan, your dream. Bring me to life in every sphere. Profound joy where there once was fear. Carry me close, embrace me tight, as crosses cause me to clutch in pride. Deepen my trust that you are my true bride as I travel from my death to rise and know and grace and be just the person you want